Hey, everybody. Welcome back to LinkedIn Live with RNL. Excited to be here this week with the geniuses behind ZeeMee, one of our trusted RNL partners. We're going to talk about authentic peer-to-peer engagement, which I have already confessed to Vanessa and Harrison. Here's a little bit frightening to me, but we're going to talk a little bit about that. So excited to have Vanessa Didyk of ZeeMee here. Vanessa, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
And Harrison Soup Campbell. He's even putting his nickname in there. That's good. Harrison, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us, Brian.
Okay, well, I want to jump into the technology. And so how did you two end up with an app that helps college students in this very unique way? Why'd you do this? Why are you passionate about higher education? What's the story here?
Yeah, so the story actually is not either of our story originally. We're not the original founders, but I'd say we are very much responsible for where we are today. So ZeeMee started with this, a lot of people might actually remember it, and it's sort of a legacy product that we still have, this early days idea that students are more than just their sort of, words on a page application. And so the original product of ZeeMee was this portfolio, video, photo portfolio that sat as a supplement to the application. And that was great. Colleges adopted it. Students didn't adopt it at the rates that everybody hoped, but there were these really strong signals that what everybody was really looking for was connection with each other, connection between the schools and the students, for the students to connect with each other. And so that's really when Harrison and I actually joined, and we really leaned into that and said, there were already some tests running around this community product. And what we've become since is this social app for this college journey. And it's, I joined in 2018. I think Harrison, you did too, right?
Yeah.
Both of us.
That's interesting. That kind of ZeeMee kind of shifted the game right there, because we talk about this concept of holistic review, which is actually a term that's really admission counselor or admission office facing. So it's about how the admission office behaves. How do students actually provide a holistic application, right? And so that was the cool thing about the technology. Now, subsequently, as you said, it's moved to this social community. Harrison, can you tell us what does the ZeeMee app actually do? What does it provide to students? Why is it important to colleges?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just briefly share what really drove me to join ZeeMee. So I come from the higher ed side as a former dean of admissions, and I briefly share this story a lot when I'm meeting with colleges and universities. It wasn't that long ago. I was in a cabinet meeting with board of trustees, president, all VPs, and I got asked this question. Soup, it's so cool what you're doing on Instagram and what you're doing with Snapchat and what you're doing with Facebook at that time. But can you tell us anything about who are those students? Do we actually even know who they are? Did any of them actually apply? How did what you did on Snapchat last summer impact summer melt? Can you tell us those things? Can you tell us a prediction of if they're even going to apply or matriculate? And so I always share what led me to ZeeMee and wanting to be a part of this really was what I couldn't do with all of the other social media platforms that I was leveraging. And I wanted to be a part of a team to actually build a social media platform to give the data, the information, the tools that all of people that were in my shoes really desperately wanted. And so ZeeMee has evolved into, as Vanessa was kind of mentioning, it's all about community. And I think what we discovered at ZeeMee that was a little different than what we had been doing for years. For years, we waited until students were admitted, and then we would invite them to something at that point. And I think what we discovered at ZeeMee is students actually will connect with each other and want to connect with each other much, much, much earlier in the process. And so, that's the heart of ZeeMee, is providing this space for the prospective students to actually connect with each other. We've always thought it's all about us. It's about, what we need to tell them, what our current students need to tell them. Like, it's all about us and our brand. And really what we've discovered is it's really all about them. And when you can create that space for those prospective students to connect with each other, that's what really, really moves the needle when we talk about increased app rates and we talk about slashing melt in half and matriculation and those things. And so it's really just all about peer-to-peer community and prospective students connecting with each other and that shared experience, going through that journey together and being able to lean on each other as they go through that process of transitioning from high school to college together.
Yeah, well, and if you're connected, what we know is that that association, which we know in higher ed is going to be a lifetime association if it's done right, it's just stickier, right?
Right.
So that day and probably this week that the student's going, did I make the right choice? If they're on the ZeeMee app and they're interacting with people that they're excited to see, in 10 days or so when they move in, they're probably more likely to actually show up, right?
For sure. If we have plans to have dinner together, on day one, I'm not going to melt. I know what I'm up to. I've got, social plans. I've got a community built. And so just to back up a little bit for people who don't know, what ZeeMee is a social app that students can come into. Students will join as early as sophomores, juniors in high school. They will start to connect with each other, and then they can follow schools that they're interested in applying to. And so the schools that we partner with can actually invite their prospects in just that early. We've already been inviting all those juniors in, and they start to connect with each other. The schools can also get their current students in there. They can get, staff in there. But what's really powerful is those students getting to know each other. And so in ZeeMee, there's so many different things they can do. They can chat, they can filter and find specific people and say, show me the other people applying to UC Berkeley who are interested in rock climbing, majoring in English, and going to be graduating in 2025. And they can filter through and see all those people and start DMing and messaging and forming small group chats. And what that does, like you were saying, the students who make friends, they just stick. They persist through the funnel and they show up on campus on day one.
So this is interesting because what you just described there is a pattern that we've seen with this type of technology. It used to be, for example, just like a couple dating apps, right? And now it becomes, farmers only. I'm sure we all have an example, right? And so it becomes niche. Is this the direction that social technology for young people is taking, where it becomes, like you said, that filtering, and these are the people that I want to connect with, and even 2 or 3 years before I'm going to go and join that university, I've built a social connection. Is that what this generation expects now?
Yeah, I mean, we really believe at our core, like in our DNA, we see that the future of social is social discovery and community building, and that there's a lot of apps out there that are this sort of performance culture, get as many follows, get as many likes, put your highlight reel out there. But Gen Z is really moving in a direction where they want to have more authentic connections. It's more about personal connections and that sort of human to human interaction and relationships. And so we out of, 50% of relationships now start online, and that's totally normal to use technology to facilitate that. We think that we should be doing that and helping people find their friends, their roommates, their study buddies, their mentors, like all of these platonic relationships that are really important and are going to make them successful in school.
I love that. And we've described a little bit in our material that higher education is becoming very much a buyer's market in terms of demographics and things like that. I actually think rephrase it. What it is it's a relationship builder, content creator, change makers market, right? And that's what these young people are doing. And for them to be able to include that in their exploration process, I think there's just a lot of opportunity. Okay. So on your website, you talk about authentic peer-to-peer engagement. Okay. So as somebody who has taken 30 tour guides, hi Sarah, hi Zach, and set them loose and let them talk to my prospective students, this is a little terrifying to me. So talk me down off the ledge. Authentic peer-to-peer engagement, I don't get to control that. Is that going to be okay? What's going to happen from the enrollment manager's standpoint with this type of technology?
Yeah, this is a big one, Brian, and it's often the number one question we usually get asked when we're talking to a college or university about ZeeMee, because it's hard for us that have worked on the college and university side when we're so protective of the brand. Oh my goodness, what if they say something bad about one of our dorms? Is that going to be the end of the world for us? And so it's sometimes it's a challenge a little bit to kind of step back from that. But I will say this. First, when we're talking peer-to-peer, one, I want to make sure everyone understands what we mean by peer-to-peer. I think in higher ed in general, we throw that term around a lot. And it's often in the context of how we leverage our current college students to be a voice and to be available and to answer questions for prospective students. That's extremely valuable, very important. Everyone does that, and we understand that. But at ZeeMee, when we talk peer-to-peer influence, what we mean is a high school senior influencing another high school senior, a high school junior influencing another high school junior. And that's what very few colleges and universities have really yet to discover and tap into. That voice is really, really powerful. And what you'll see on ZeeMee in these chats is you'll see a high school senior say something like, this school wasn't even in my top 10, but after being in this group chat and connecting and feeling this vibe and just, getting to know all of you, like this is the top school on my list now. And so that's what, like, we really, when we're at ZeeMee, when we're talking about peer-to-peer influence, that's what we're really talking about. And it's powerful, and it can be scary because, a lot of our partners would say, like, wow, some of these chats, they're so organic and we can see it. And, but we're always a little nervous, but what we've experienced on ZeeMee has just been a really positive experience. And you see students really encourage each other and share the things they're excited about. And that just really influences the other students that maybe were still kind of on the fence. And then they're like, well, wait a minute, like I want to know more about this too. I'm getting excited about your school too now. So that's what we mean when we talk peer-to-peer influence.
And it's real time too, right? Like, so these are like conversations happening all day long, and they're all chatting, and it's really, hearing from a current student is great, and we have that too, but hearing from somebody else why they're so excited about a particular school is just so moving for those prospects, because that's who they want to, like, are we going to be friends? Should we be roommates? Are you the kind of people that I want to live with for 4 years? Are you going to be in my wedding someday? Like, that's what they're thinking about, and that's what they can do.
So do you two log in and just kind of check out and see what's going on?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We're the worst culprits in the company. Yeah.
Classic lurkers. But I mean, just think about how powerful even that is. Think about, a dean of admissions or, the head of marketing that can literally just live in real time see the pulse of what their prospective students are feeling, experiencing, going through. Just having that window of insight is really, really powerful. So sometimes, even if it's scary, it's great to still know, like, I think ZeeMee college partners would tell you, we know what our prospective students are thinking. We know who they are, what they think, what they feel, what they want, what they need. We know it because they're an active, community, like, where, we're engaged with them 24/7. I think that's what's really powerful.
Well, yeah, I love it. Well, and I think in terms of being able to see as an enrollment professional and adapt strategically. So if you just joined us, we're here live on LinkedIn with Harrison Campbell and Vanessa Didyk of ZeeMee. We're talking about the power of authentic peer-to-peer engagement. You can find out more at ruffalonl.com or colleges.zeemee.com. That's right. You can, if you're an RNL partner or you're in our network or know someone at RNL, the RNL consultants can help you out, talk about ZeeMee and talk about how you can implement it and what the value of it is. Well, I imagine during the pandemic, that lurking that you've done has been interesting in terms of looking to see what people are talking about, whether they're nervous about going back in person, what happened when the pandemic hit. What do you see in the interactions on ZeeMee that helps students get ready to make the transition, knowing that things are a little bit uncertain with the variants and different policies and stuff? Like, what are you seeing right now in terms of interaction by prospective students as they go into this year?
I'd say the support networks that they're forming with each other have just been so incredible to see. I mean, we've had some really lonely students over the last year and a half, and I think we run surveys all the time in the app, and we'll run a survey, we'll get thousands of responses in like a few hours. And some of the things that students have been thinking about is their own mental health, and there's like real, and then all of the social issues that we were tackling in the last year on top of the pandemic, to see the social sort of support systems that the students have been building with each other has been really incredible. And I think it just reinforced for me how important that is to our success. And the conversations, what's fun about ZeeMee, because we are such, we do lurk in there a little bit, the conversations are big, and they're big topics, and they're lightweight. So it's like, who saw Loki last night? But it's also like, how are we going to survive a year remote? We saw that last year. And then really like connecting and talking about the big social issues that were happening. And so I think that was something that, like, a real signal to me that the most important thing in their lives was to kind of make those connections over the last year, and just how important that is for success, regardless of whether schools are online, they're going remote, they're in person. These connections are just so critical to success. that the students are trying to find, so who's in my dorm and who's, as they get to campus, who's in my classes, let's all connect, let's talk to each other. What are you thinking about joining in terms of activities and other stuff? And then earlier in the process, it's like supporting each other through the actual applications. Did you get confirmation that your letters of rec were received? Were you able to visit before the campus shut down? Can you share some of your pictures with me?
I love that.
Like all of these really cool moments.
So I got to stop for a second. Did you visit the campus before the shutdown? And can you share some of your pictures with me?
Yeah.
Despite the fact that that institution likely has thousands of pictures.
Oh, it's not about that. It's about the students sharing their pictures. The institution is also throwing those pictures in our feed. We have an Instagram style feed. So the feed is full of pictures, but it's not the same as like, show me what did you take a picture of? What did you think of that quad? Who did you meet on campus?
Yeah, whenever I need to take a picture, I just give the camera to the youngest person in the room. Sometimes a 4-year-old does a little bit better than my 40-something dated. So you mentioned social issues. What was it like to watch a generation? I'm mindful that this generation, probably half or more of them have been in the streets, taking action on a crucial issue after the murder of George Floyd and other injustices. What was it like to watch that? And their conversation? Was there a lot of conversation?
Yeah, it was powerful. I think, Vanessa already alluded to it. A lot of people know that ZeeMee is a platform where colleges are on the, you can search for a college, follow a college, but, we also have these other amazing channels where students, form communities and groups and chat, like our diversity and inclusion channels, our Black Student Forum. And I mean, some of the things that you would see students share and just, open up about and discussion just moving and just to see students engage with each other in these topics. And I think really what I learn every time I see this happen on ZeeMee is that it reminds me that transitioning from high school to college was always scary. It was always a scary transition. And what I think I've learned is that when students can go through it again together, I've already kind of mentioned this, but it's that shared experience when they feel like, wow, I'm not the only one who's kind of frightened right now about what I'm seeing. I'm not the only one that's, terrified of this pandemic and, am I going to be okay if I go off to college? Like seeing them support each other and just really discuss topics and issues like that and make bonds around those things. I often share this too. I have my youngest son is 15, a sophomore in high school. And, what we don't realize is a lot of students, are at high schools right now, and maybe they don't have their people in their high school. Mm-hmm. And so students are trying to find, I want to find my people. Like, this is who I am. And I've got all these really interesting things about me. Maybe I don't really see that reflected in who I'm actually sitting in class with at high school, but they're all on ZeeMee and they've become my best friends. And I talk with them more than I talk with the actual friends I sit next to at a desk in a physical high school. And so I think that's what's just so unique about this and the way these students have rallied together and support each other and are there for each other through that entire process is really, really cool to kind of sit back and watch those relationships grow and just basically take place on ZeeMee.
Well, and the colleges can be there. This was really special for our colleges too, knowing what was going on, knowing these conversations. Right. The schools that were able to then support and to listen and to facilitate conversations or to just be there and run things that were fun social events to kind of lighten the mood or show students that they care about their connections. Those were the schools that won the day, because the schools that were just kind of like hammering students with financial aid chats and all of that stuff, when the students are like, my world is falling apart. Students were saying in the app, I don't know if I want to go away to college and leave, this is before vaccines, leave my parents at home. What if they get sick while I'm gone and I can't get back? Like, how do I do that? I'm not as worried about myself because I'm young and heading off to college. But so like that, the schools that were there to support, and that's true always, like Harrison was saying, there's always anxiety about going to school. I think it was just, there was like a spotlight on it in the last week.
Yeah, so you described the proactive component of people finding people and finding a fit and getting engaged with an institution and a group of people. But is there a reactive aspect too? Because I'm thinking about well, if there was an incident in the city or with a locale where I was thinking about going to college, and maybe the person doesn't look like me, and they're wondering, how am I going to be treated by the police or in the community or things like that? Do you see an impact of this authentic peer-to-peer engagement in terms of, because people say, okay, there's I'm going to have allies, I'm going to see a network. Is it keeping it stickier? Is it having people persist through the process?
100%. I would say also the ZeeMee is incredibly powerful for multicultural recruiting, for recruiting of any population that is at higher risk of falling out of the funnel and, not persisting through school. And the reason is because they can find, like Harrison was saying, you can start to find people like me, other people, and you can start to hear voices of the current students on campus who you relate to or maybe from similar backgrounds. And so that could be students who travel a far distance. You're also trying to travel across the country. Maybe we should get to know each other because I'm scared to go across the country. It's not, and so it's not just our URM and first gen students. It's kind of anybody who's at higher risk of falling out of the funnel. And so a lot of our partners have their best year ever for multicultural recruiting when they introduce ZeeMee.
Nothing like letting the students network with each other, right? It's not about us. It's about the opportunity of unique human individuals interacting with each other. So I love it. Okay, and
we have the data to support that those students actually persist. Once they get to school, they persist at higher rates as well.
Fabulous. Well, of course, coming in with a social connection, right? Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Well, a lot of institutions have had to have virtual events, virtual open houses, virtual everything for a while now. Getting back to the point where we're able to do some campus tours. We'll have to see how things progress forward. What was that like? What do you think makes a good virtual event? What recommendations do you have for people? What did you kind of see in the interaction with what institutions did, and again in your data?
Yeah. Well, first I'll say virtual events to me kind of fall in two buckets: transactional, informational type virtual events, and fun, social, relational. And 99.9% of colleges and universities out there are really good at transactional, informational. Here's an invite, sign up for our webinar where you're going to get to listen to financial aid talk to you for 45 minutes. Or even like a student panel is going to talk to you about the amazing things on campus. Like, they're often just transactional and relational information, and they're extremely important. You have to do those. I think where ZeeMee really excelled is that the events that are done on ZeeMee are social and relational. They're fun. They don't require students to have to get on video, so there's no anxiety there. Everything's wanting, oh my gosh, I'm meeting some people for the first time and I've got to be on this Zoom and on video, and now I'm nervous and anxious. And so on ZeeMee, these events are crazy. There's things like speed friending, which I think one of our college partners invented. I had never even heard of that. Kind of a play on speed dating. And, there's trivia nights, emoji translation, scavenger hunts. And what is crazy about these, because you already have this huge captive audience, all of your prospective students already engaged in your community, there's really no planning. There's no like, we're going to spend, a month planning this virtual event. It's like, hey, in 20 minutes, let's hop over into this channel in our community and let's do speed friending. Let's do pet friending. And so it's little bandwidth on the teams that are doing these. And the students, it's just all about them connecting. And what's crazy is you'll literally see in a 30-minute, a 45-minute, virtual event on ZeeMee, thousands of messages between those students in that short amount of time. And again, the whole purpose is for them to kind of make new friendships, make new connections. They'll mention each other. What's a show you've binged watched on Netflix the last, 30 days, and they all start sharing what shows. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so addicted to that show as well. So that's what we did on ZeeMee. And I think that's what students were really craving, because they were so anxious and so stressed. My goodness, I've got 15 colleges emailing me, telling me to sign up for this. And I just want something kind of low key that's just fun, where I can meet other students. And I think that's where we really excelled with the type of virtual events that we do on ZeeMee.
I love it. It's like the enrollment flash mob.
Right.
Bring out in the 90s. That's good.
I remember those
It's
days.
cool. It's cool because there's an opportunity for the institutions to get that transactional, that informational stuff out. There's an opportunity for social connection, and there's an opportunity for students to self-explore, which we know when the coin flips, when it becomes less talking at and talking with, or when the student is themselves, as you say, reaching out to other students, we know that connection and the chance of enrolling is just much greater when you make that key psychological shift to be student-centered. Right. And we forget sometimes that student-centered is first about listening and second about letting the students create their own content.
Yeah.
That's an important shift to make. Okay, so what do you think today's college students, and if we can get into a little bit from their families in terms of what you're hearing about that, most want from the college exploration experience? Is it those webinars about financial aid? Is it the pictures? Is it the social interaction? Like, what do you think right now from what you've seen from this powerful platform actually makes a difference in college exploration?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's for sure the human connection. Like that is so important, and that's connection to the school too. To feel like they know the people at the school, to feel like they know these current students. Some of our current students turn into like mini celebrities. That we call them, influencers in our app. They're ambassadors, tour guides from the school, and they do literally turn into mini celebrities. We had such a like fandom happening at Berkeley this past year that the students were creating their own merch for this particular influencer that they all were obsessed with. So they want to feel connected. They want to feel bonded. They want to feel like the school is listening to them and cares about them. And anything that the school can do to reflect that back really sings, because then it sort of reverberates in the community, and you can hear all the students kind of talking about, like, can you believe they did that for us? Can you believe, even after these like speed friending events, the students will be talking for hours afterwards. And part of what they're talking about is how special it was that the school ran that, and that it really mattered to them, that they were listened to. But
this is at UC Berkeley?
That was at UC Berkeley. But
that's so cool. It's an institution where you literally walk past signs that say reserved for Nobel Prize winner.
Yes.
Right. And they're creating a trending influencer, current student to recruit students. It's so cool, which is actually, if you go back to the history of the institution 50 years ago, it's always been about organic student interaction at that institution.
It's so
if you know the history
Her name's
of it.
Millie. Let's give her some credit. Her name's Millie, and the students were creating merch that said military, and they were just
that's sweet.
So neat. And
thanks, Millie, for making enrollment cool again.
Yeah, like total influencer, just the hottest thing that ever happened. I think the other thing that we see is that Gen Z is very ROI oriented. These are smart young people, and they do want to know, that this school is going to help them get jobs and is going to help them kind of get launched into their lives. And we do see that in the conversations. The questions that students ask are very insightful, and they can ask. We have an Ask a Counselor channel, Ask a Current Student. So they are asking those questions of the folks at the school, and they're very smart questions. And
I love that. They can meet each other. They can ask admission counselors questions. They can follow Millie. I love that. That's good stuff. Okay, if we're at the tail end of our episode here, we're live on LinkedIn with ZeeMee. We got Harrison and Vanessa here. You can head over to ruffalonl.com or colleges.zeemee.com to find out more about the platform. We're talking about authentic peer-to-peer interaction. All right, final advice. What is your advice to enrollment managers as they think about maybe the next cohort? Because, of course, everyone who uses ZeeMee is going to see absolutely no melt, and everyone's going to enroll. So, or as you said, slash it in half. So as we think about the next recruitment year, what advice do you have for enrollment managers? Harrison, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I think for me, and again, I try to put myself back in those shoes because I was there not that long ago. And I think that just students, today's younger students, just are really craving actual authenticity. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, today, every college and university Instagram account, it's so curated, it's perfect, it's branded, it's very selective what we show. Maybe every once in a while we do a student takeover and we try to make it look very student-oriented, but it's like, every college and university has this shiny, expensive CRM, and we're just spamming out emails every day. Like, these prospective students are just getting inundated with all of this kind of traditional ways we've always tried to outreach to students. And really, I just think they're craving for the real. Like, just show me who you really are. Like, show me, like, I want to feel the vibe of this place. Like, I want to experience through other prospective students. I want to experience really through your current students by really sharing, authentic content. And, on ZeeMee, the current college students, they don't have to like just work with marketing and communications to plan and do a student takeover. Once they're selected to represent their college and university, they're sharing content 24/7. They're maybe at 11 o'clock at night dropping a link. Hey, we're doing an audio chat in my dorm room right now with some of my, friends on the floor. Like, hop into this audio chat with us right now on ZeeMee, and like, let's just get to know each other. Like, I think that's what students are really craving. And the colleges and universities that understand that and that are moving in that direction really are kind of separating themselves kind of from the pack, because we've all just been doing it the same way for decades. And I think students are just craving that real, actual, authentic view, even if everything's not always rosy, even if it is like,
right,
yeah, we get it. That dorm does need to be like renovated. Like, yep, you're right. We get it. Like, even being able to be okay with that, with the things about us that maybe aren't just perfect, and trying to present ourselves as the perfect college and university.
Yep, I love that. Again, terrifying, the idea that students would start an impromptu enrollment chat at 11 p.m. in their residence halls, but also super, super cool, putting the power in the hands of the students. You've heard me say that before. Vanessa, final words, advice for enrollment managers as they think about the next cohort.
Yeah, I mean, I think schools need to be finding and leveraging those evangelists more. And I think we are a platform that does that and allows you to figure out who are those people who, even as juniors in high school, are so in love with your institution that they're going to pull everybody else along with them. Instead of trying to force students through the funnel, find those evangelists who are just going to like Pied Piper their way through and pull everybody else along, and then kind of let it all happen. Let it be organic. Let it be natural. Facilitate those friendships. Students who make friends stick. And like all we have is this really cool social platform that students want to use. And because the students are there, the colleges want to be there, and the network then just keeps growing and works. And I think that it's time to kind of keep leaning into things like that.
I love it. Makes me want to be 17 again.
Yeah.
And re-explore, have my college experience. So thank you both. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the great work you're doing. If you want to find out more about how to integrate ZeeMee into your efforts, head over to ruffalonl.com, check out our marketplace, or contact your RNL representative. They all know how to get you connected to cool people like Harrison and Vanessa. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We'll be back. We'll be back next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, like we always are. We'll have a donor engagement advancement topic next week, so we'll be hitting that. Check us out every Tuesday, 3 p.m. here on RNL's LinkedIn page for LinkedIn Live. Thanks, Harrison and Vanessa, and everybody have a great week. Thanks a lot.